Okay, so we're going to start with a very quick question. It was asked tonight, actually. Excellent question. Which is, what is going on? This whole story with Lot seems very difficult to picture, to figure out. What is going on with Lot? What's going on with Lot's wife? Was she good? Was she worthy of being saved? So save her. If she wasn't, so don't save her. Like, what's going on exactly? Like, it seems very strange. She's like Lot, right? Ishta Gufo, right? So she should have kind of gotten out, maybe, or maybe not. What's going on? It's very weird. She turns around. No, that's it. You're done. Don't turn around. You turn around, it's over. What's going on over here? What's the shot? It seems very strange. And then she does turn around. Very, very difficult to understand. Difficult to understand what's going on. Also, just in general, right? With Lot, what's happening exactly? He's in the Shar. We have to tell him he's at the gates. We're learning he's a judge. Like, what's going on is that he's at the gates. It makes such a difference to me. We don't even learn from that he's a judge. We learn from them later on. They say you'll be a judge, so this person came to judge us, right? To be a judge for us. But like, who cares if you're at the gates of stone, right? We're sitting at the gates of stone. What's the difference? So the Pasuk tells that the Tzadok learns a very deep lesson here, and also what's going on with the daughters of Lot. That's also very difficult to understand. Lot's like drunk. What's he drunk about? There was an aspect of taking out the spark of Moshiach that we know, right, from a far place, but still it's difficult to understand what's going on there. We'll go through one at a time. Hopefully we'll finish within the 15-minute time span. That's Hashem. So we have like this. The first thing to be aware of is Lot was sitting in the shower of stone. So Tzadok imparts beautiful chizuk, incredible chizuk. He said, what happened to Lot? He said, Lot, you have to know about Lot. Lot had 4 daughters. That's why I don't know if that person with the honey was actually his daughter. I'm not sure. Maybe it means he has. I guess it means he has four. Maybe I do also remember that. So maybe it means he had 4 daughters left. Could be. One was killed that way. So he has 4 daughters. 2 are married. 2 aren't. Right. So 2 are saved. 2 aren't saved. Interesting. So it says you have to know. Lot Shar Stom is not an accidental usage, an accidental piece of information that's irrelevant. We know the Baal Shem Tov and the Ramami Panu before him said that everything in the Chumash is teaching you something that has to do with your verse Hashem, the Doros, every person, everywhere. What's teaching me? So he said, Shar Stom means he was mamish. Lot was in the middle. Like the Jewish people, Memte Shari Tuma in Mitzrayim, Lot was just about absorbed by stone. He was half. 2 daughters saved, 2 daughters not. He's at the turning point. And that's when Hashem took him out. And he says that every person also, Hashem, sends at exactly the right moment. He gives you that chance to get better and to turn things around. He helps you. He doesn't give up on you. He doesn't like say, oh, forget it, too bad. Forget it. No. Even though Lot made a decision, he went with this dome and he was going after terrible, terrible things. And it's a serious thing. How even at their question, like, what did he do wrong? We're not going to go into that. Like, why did he misunderstand? What happened? It's like a whole discussion. What's going on here with Lot? That's a different topic. It's not for today. But the whole from the point that Tzadok makes, first of all, is you should know that Hashem, every person, Hashem's watching you and He's sending Hashgacha to help you no matter what you're going through, especially when things are hard. And we have to be aware of it. We have to be cognizant of it. We have to try our best to make use of it and to grab hold of it. Because Hashem's helping you. Things you can't do yourself, you say, wow, I can't do this myself. How am I going to do this? This is something I have to do. I can't do this myself. Hashem will help you do it. Just hold on. Just like Rabbi Nachman says, turn every thought, every emotion, every word to Hashem. Every day. You should say, Hashem, it's all yours. Hashem will show you what to do. Give it to Him. That's what the Rebbe says in Sir Salah. So that's one point. That's Bekitz and Nimrod. What's going on with Lot? He's right in the middle. He said, 2 daughters gone, 2 daughters here. He saved them. And they were tzaddikaniyas, as we'll see. And then we have the bechina of his wife was a little bit of a question mark. That's what we'll get to right now. Right? She looks back and she becomes a pillar of salt. So Tzadok says, what's going on? Why should she become a pillar of salt? I mean, after all, if she's worthy of being saved, so she should be saved. If she's not worthy of being saved, leave her. Or she should feel like she's part of stone. She's going to stay there like the other daughters. Why is she? What happened? It's very strange. It's like a kind of clarification. Oh, now we know. So this is something that we know about. I'm fond of bringing the Medrash about Shimon and Levi. But the Medrash says we don't know Shimon and Levi. They both... Oh, yeah. And Shechem, Shimon and Levi, they both were very strong. They really wiped out the city. And we don't know who's what. The Medrash says we don't know who's what. Who's holding, who's really holding, and who's not holding. Who's the real deal, and who's not the real deal. We don't know. Just how do we know? Levi, when Moshe said Milah, they went. Oh, now we know Levi is the real deal. When they did what they did, we figure out retroactively it was the change of mind. And Shimon, by Shittim, that whole Maisa there, that they fell, so now we see Shimon was not enough to change Shemai. So sometimes you do something, people do something, we can't tell what you are. You're a question mark. And when you act, that's when we find out. So Tzadok says like this. He says, listen. He says the fact of the matter is that Lot's wife was, pretty cheap, right? She didn't want to give salt to the guests. So salt was a valuable commodity at that time. It's not like it was garbage. It was hard to get a hold of, but still, come on. Salt, like how much salt they're not going to eat salt. They use salt on the food, whatever makes it more palatable. Why wouldn't you give salt? So Tzadok said, listen, there's a mechina where she's gvura, strong gvura. But the question is that b'kedusha, to be misgaber also, does that mean you're going to overcome overpowering desires to do things that aren't proper or not? So it wasn't clear, and it wasn't clarified in her either. So she had a desire to leave stone because she had the potential to use what she had for holiness. He said, but that's why the Malach said you have to constrict yourself and not look back. What did she do? She looks back? No. Sorry. It's been clarified that you're not on the level. None of them were really on the level. They were only on Avraham Avinu's merit, more or less, like mostly, even though they had their own of whatever it was. So besides the Pashtus, that's the way it was. It's everyone. The Chayr was Avraham Avinu's schus. So she wasn't holding, so she fell. That's what happened. Then she turned around and she became this pillar of salt. So the last thing I want to say from Tzadok is, right, this also in the Kol Motzei Mincha here, right, Mem Gimel, Daled, Mem Hey. So the last thing he said, it's very interesting that, again, this idea of like the daughters of Lot gave Lot to drink wine, they inebriated him, and then whatever happened to bring out the Neshama of Moshiach, right? So it's very, very, very fascinating. We know that Rav Moshe Feinstein was made. He testified that he said he saw this, a certain rabbi, who he spoke against the daughters of Lot. What are they doing? It's trash. You're trying to say different things. So our sages say the daughters of Lot were totally righteous. For whatever reason, they had this idea that the whole world was being destroyed, and they had to do what they had to do in order to continue. There should be people in the world. That's what they thought they were doing. So their machshava, their thought, their intentions were totally pure. And this person was very ill, and Rav Moshe came to visit him, and he said the daughters of Lot came to him in a dream, and he spoke against them in his drush or whatever, and they're taking their makpid on their covet. What is this? I guess he was on the level to get this kind of thing, and he left the world. He died. And Moshe writes this. He's like, he said, I saw this in Europe. You can't. These people were really. These women were really tzaddikaniyos. They were very righteous. Whatever happened, but they were very righteous. They had very pure intentions. Whatever it was. They had to bring Moshiach soul out in this strange way, but. He says that Lot was not pure. Lot himself had serious problems. And again, we don't think our time really holds up with dealing with what are those problems. But bottom line is, Lot had serious problems. Again, I would say he went to stone, make terrible drushes. Also, what the pshat is. He's looking to stone. Why? What was he after? My goodness, didn't sound good. So, one way or the other, the bottom line is that Lot, when you deal with Lot, his intentions were not so good. So Tzadok says something very, very amazing. He says, Lot, we wanted Lot out of the picture. We need to get Lot to be a place also to have pure intentions, and we're not holding back. It's impossible. He's going to have pure intentions in such a thing. So what do? We give him wine. So we give him wine. We have a rule. The halachic rule is that you have a person who's a deaf mute who cannot communicate, so he's in his own little world. He's not connecting to the world at all. He could be taught to, possibly, but at that point in ancient times it was very difficult. They didn't know how to do it. So most people, unless he originally spoke and originally was part of the world, he was considered, that his mind was not, non-competentis. He wasn't all there. A person who's an imbecile. And then a minor is assumed to be, not all the way what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Can they do something l'shem shamayim? There's certain things you need to do when you have in mind Hashem, right? So we know that the halacha is if a person who is an adult monitors the child and says, do this way, so they determine what happens. He says, do it, do it in certain places where we will say, okay, it's permitted now because you have a sheikh v'kotim and gadol omer lagav and shechita. There are different discussions, different things where if you're watching the child and you tell them and you make sure they're going to do it right, so they'll do it right. And there's a shayla, what's the problem with shechita, whatever it may be. But there are different things that we have discussions and questions about what will work, what won't work, and this is one method that sometimes works with cheresh v'kotim, right? So he says that's the same thing with Lot. Lot was not on the level to have the pure intentions necessary to bring the Neshama Moshiach down. So they made him a shota. They made him shikr kalot. There's actually a Lechic terminology, which is the person drunk as Lot. And he was not holding by doing much and having any thoughts at all. And his daughter's thoughts are what determined what happened there. That's what we say, because they were very, very righteous and they were really trying, they were very sincere. And that's the other stickle of Rav Tzadok. So these three things we have to know, that every person, sometimes you're doing well, you're in a good place, something's not such a good place, and you have to know that Hashem's taking care of you, and that sometimes things work out one way, things work out the other way. We don't really understand what's going on in the world, like Rabbi Nachman says. We don't know what's flying here. We don't understand what's going on. We don't have a real conception of we don't really grasp what Hashem is doing in the world. We don't understand it. We can't get it. And sometimes a person has a tremendous challenge, and it's a very challenged soul. And that's actually the higher souls. Larry says the higher soul is very challenged. And we have to be very patient. We have to be very patient with ourselves. We have to realize that Hashem has a plan. He's going to take care of everything. He's going to find the way. We don't know the way. We don't know the strategy. He can give it to you. Rav Nosson says it easily. He can help you with your problems easily. You just have to turn to him and wait for his Yeshua. Hashem shall us be zoch.